Good evening, Otherworldlies. This is Queen Juliana, your Dark Mask Diva. I'm going to talk about body language, okay? I took a lot of notes, so I'm going to discuss body language tonight. And a lot of these were a surprise. Some of these were ones that I knew already. So I'm going to talk about body language. Number one is rubbing your hands, okay? So you're just, you're going like this. When people do that, they're excited. They want to get down to task. They want to get down to work, okay? They can't wait to do something. They're like, yes, let's do this, okay? That's let's get down to work. Okay. Number two, excessive blinking. All right. You're talking to someone, they're blinking a lot, they're doing this. Okay, it's real obvious when I do it. So guess what I better not do? Tell a lie. People are doing a lot of blinking. They're not flirting with you. Okay? You may have caught somebody in a lie. So watch them doing a lot of blinking, okay? So if you catch me doing a lot of blinking, it might mean that my eyes are dry, all right? So don't come for me. But usually when people are doing a lot of blinking, you may have caught them in a lie. And I guess it's just one of those tells. Let's see. Uncomfortable hugs. Have you ever hugged someone and it's like stiff hug, and then they give you one of those pat, pat, pat on the back? They give you the 3 pats. All right. Stiff, uncomfortable hug. They hug you, and then they give you the uncomfortable 3-time pat. All right. That's kind of a signal like, leave me alone. I don't really want to be touching you. Okay. So that's the uncomfortable hug. A lot of people like to guard their personal space. Okay. Some people, you may be attracted to them and they're not attracted to you, and you go in for the hug and they're just like, not everybody's a hugger. And I'm going to tell you, after the pandemic, a lot of us were used to giving each other the 6 feet. Okay, well, some people kind of liked that. Some people liked that whole 6 feet thing, and were kind of got used to covering their face, okay, and got used to being 6 feet away from everybody. And now people are starting to come in for the hug. And I'm going to tell you, most people are not what is known as a touchy-feely. Okay, so most people, I'm going to tell you, unless you're a family member or something like that, most people don't like hugs. I know you're like, what? If you're a hugger, I'm going to tell you, most people aren't touchy-feely. Most people find touch uncomfortable, unless you're like a close relative or you've known the person forever. Most people are not huggers. So if you're one of those people that goes around hugging people and stuff like that, you might get the stiff hug with the pat, pat, pat. I'm going to let you know that person did like it. Okay? And you may want to not take it so personal, but just know that most people don't like their space invaded. All right, most people feel uncomfortable, especially post-pandemic. Okay, so if you get the stiff hug with the pat, you've invaded their space and they don't know how to tell you. Okay, don't say, have I invaded your space? Because then you're going to make it even more awkward. Just don't go in and try to hug them again. Because I will come out and just tell people I don't like hugs. Because I don't want to have to give them the stiff arm and the pat, pat, pat. I just say, hey, you know what, I don't really hug. I'm very conservative, and I don't hug people. And they're like, huh, what? Hugs not drugs. Well, I don't do drugs either. I just don't hug people. I'm going to tell you, when the pandemic hit, that made me feel panicky, but I was glad to wear a mask, and I was glad that, everyone gave us 6 feet, because people stopped wanting to hug all the time, and people stopped saying smile. I mean, that was, I like to see the silver lining and everything, and that was my silver lining with the pandemic. People weren't so touchy feely, and they weren't, talking about me smiling or not. So, watch out for those hugs, okay? Let's see. Fake smiles. All right, I'm going to show you what a fake smile is. Okay, now I want you to watch. There's two halves of everyone's face, okay? Fake smiles are like, notice the smile did not go all the way to my eyes. This is a real smile, okay? I don't know if I don't have that many lines in my eyes, but when you smile for reals, it goes all the way up to your eyes. Like, when I smile for real, like a real smile, my eyes get a little smaller, okay? They crinkle up a little bit, like this. Like, I'm truly smiling now. Like, this is a real smile, but a fake smile is like, it's like you've had Botox, okay? Like you see what I mean? Did you see how phony that looked? Like, I was like, just, yeah, hi, how are you? Have you ever seen somebody give a smile like that? Like one of those phony type people, they just kind of like, and it's the bottom of their face. Nothing happens in their eyes. When you smile for reals, your whole face smiles, not just your mouth, okay? So that's, watch for people who only do a mouth smile because they're putting on an air. They're just pretending to like you. I've seen people do it, and I'm like, this person can't stand me. Even that reached my eyes a little bit, but I just gave a phony smile. Okay, so that was funny. Okay, okay, boss hands. Here we go. All right, I'm an ENTJ, so I do boss hands a lot. Okay, when I'm in a situation and I like to show dominance, I steeple my hands. It's kind of like you're making a diamond with your hands, and I know what else this looks like, so you don't need to put it in the comments, please don't. All right, but you're making kind of a diamond with your hands. It looks like something else, but you're steepling your fingers, and you put your chin on top of it. See how authoritative that looks? Sometimes when I'm listening to someone, I just steeple the hands. That's a real boss pose. Okay. You're steepling your fingers. All right. Your thumbs, you're forming like a diamond or something else with your hands, okay? And your thumbs are touching at the bottom. Your fingers are steepled, okay? And your elbows may be on the table. I don't have the table right here, so let's just say there's a table under me. You're like this. Rest your chin. Okay, or just do this. All right. So that's boss hands. That's when you're the CEO, or you're dominant in the conversation, or you're just listening and you can kind of tilt your head down too, where you're kind of looking at the person like. Not like you're trying to be intimidating, okay? Because I've intimidated a few people before. But you're trying to show dominance. You're trying to show strength. So you're not being an AH, okay? You're just showing dominance. Like you're showing, like, I'm in charge. I've got this. I can handle this. When you're in charge of the group, you can do that, okay? You don't do that when someone else is the boss in the room. Don't ever do that, because that is a very authoritative gesture. Okay, so you can only do that when you're the leader in the group, when you're the designated leader in the group. Okay, that's a sign of dominance. Okay, so stand by me. All right. Now here's something that genders show differences with. Now, men stand shoulder to shoulder or they make kind of an L shape. Like they kind of like, one will stand here and one will stand here. So the shoulder to shoulder, like a guy will stand here and a guy will stand here, and they'll just be like, talking to each other. Okay, now when women talk to each other, we face each other, like sitting across at a table, okay? We face each other and talk, but we may be standing, talking to each other like, like I'm facing you right now, okay? That's body language between, the difference between men and women, okay? That's because if two men stood like that, facing each other and talking like that, that would be too confrontational. Because men are very direct. Women are very indirect. So, because women are indirect, they can stand eyeball to eyeball and talk. Okay, and their conversations are considered more emotionally intimate. So, even though they're indirect, okay? So women are speaking to each other in that manner. Men do not want to look like they're intimidating each other, so they stand in that shoulder to shoulder, and so they have more of a relaxed, non-threatening type of conversation with that shoulder to shoulder stance, okay? So know that if you're in a gender situation and you're in the office or wherever at work, that you do not stand a certain way if you're with somebody of the same gender, okay? Let's see. Crossed arms. All right. When I'm around someone that I'm trying to say no to, this is very closed off. I've done this to people before to let them know I was tired of their stuff and I didn't want to hear what they had to say. Now, I think this is something that everybody knows. All right, this is a very common one. Children do this when they're mad. All right, everybody does this when they're mad, but even kids do it. It's just a natural, like, I don't want to listen. You know what I'm saying? Like, my grandson does this when he's mad. He just naturally does it without meaning to, okay? So kids do this, okay? Now, I've done that before when I haven't wanted to talk to someone. I'm just like, just letting them know that I don't like you. I don't want to listen to you. I want you to go away. And I've even done the crossed arms and said, what are you doing here? So I did the body language and said something confrontational to them. So my body language was matching my words and my tone of voice. So everything went together. And I was doing that body language on purpose to convey something to that person with the tone of voice and my words. It all went together. That person still had the nerve not to read the situation. So you could be doing everything in your power, and if a person is still like a psycho and they won't read the situation, you may have to take more drastic measures. But that's one way that most people will take the hint. Let's see. Breaking eye contact. All right, it communicates disinterest, anger, or disapproval. Okay, so say like you're trying to talk to somebody and they keep looking down, they keep looking away, they don't want to look you in the eye. Now, I'm going to talk about being on the spectrum for a second. Okay, sometimes people on the spectrum get mistaken for being disrespectful because they do not hold eye contact, or you think they're mad at you, or you think they're not listening. Okay, some people on the spectrum, not me, because I will look someone in the eye for an hour. Like, I'll have a staring contest and win. Okay, so, but I'm like high functioning. Okay, some people on the spectrum will get extremely uncomfortable with eye contact, okay, and they will look down. They can't help it, okay? They feel really weird making eye contact, okay? They'll keep looking down because they feel like they're being rude looking at you in the eye. They feel funny about the situation. They feel like they're being rude. They feel like you're thinking stuff about them. This is like, other autistic friends have said this to me. They're like, I feel weird looking people in the eye. I feel confronted. I feel like I'm being rude. I feel overwhelmed, because they, like most autistic people, have social anxiety. For me, I don't want to be hugged, but with eye contact, I'll be like, no problem with the eyes. And people are like, wow, you have the most intense eyes. They're like, you're autistic? Are you serious? I'm like, yeah, just don't hug me, just don't touch me. I'll look you in the eye though, like no problem. I'm good, but a lot of autistic people do not want to make eye contact with you. So don't hold it against them, and don't mess with them. Like, don't do stuff to make them uncomfortable and be like, because I'm the only one who'll stare at you back. But there's been situations where people have like stared at me, and I thought that they were challenging me to a fight. So I've looked down to show them that there's no threat here. I'm not trying to fight you. And they'll still keep staring at me. And like, it's because they thought they knew me from somewhere. And they look like a tough person. So I kept looking down because I'm like, I don't want to fight you. Because they looked like a gangster or something. So I would keep, looking down. And it turns out the person knew me. And I didn't know who they were. And so I just kept looking down like I don't want any trouble, you know what I mean? And I just kept looking down. So, I mean, maybe that was an autism moment, I don't know, but I thought the person was challenging me. So that's one of those things, it was like a street thing. So, that's another thing with people looking away, okay? Let's see what else. The weak handshake. Also known as the limp fish handshake. Okay, people think you're untrustworthy with the limp fish handshake. Also, if you have like poor circulation and your hands are cold and clammy. Now, since the pandemic, a lot of people will not try to shake your hand. So if you have anxiety about shaking someone's hand, they may not try to do it. Because they're like, do they have sanitizer? I hope they sanitize their hands. They may not try to shake your hand. The handshaking it's slowed down like a whole lot. I don't mind shaking people's hand. Like, that's not one of my like little problems. I give someone a firm handshake. Like, I have a whole bunch of self-confidence, okay? I give someone a firm handshake. I made a lot of business deals. I've had a lot of jobs. So, firm handshake, there you go. That's, you make a business deal. You let people know that you're strong, you're confident, you're dominant, you're all these other things. You are reliable. If you give someone the weak, like limp fish handshake, people think you're unreliable. They also think you don't like them. They think you don't want to be making that deal, and that you met them and you don't care for them. So, give someone a firm, see how I have my hand? Give someone a firm handshake. Don't be like this. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Give someone a firm handshake, okay? Even if you're afraid of the germs, keep the sanitizer in your pocket and be like that later when they're not looking, okay? So, yeah. But handshaking, there's not so much of that going on anymore, but some people still believe in it. Crossed legs towards someone you like, and when you're crossing your legs, your knee is pointing away from someone you don't like. I'm not gonna push the table away so you could see me cross my legs, because it's gonna shake and it's going to make you guys dizzy, because sometimes I accidentally shake the table and the whole laptop goes. So I'm not going to try to do it. But just say, like, I cross my knee over the other one. If my knee is pointing this way, all right, my knee is pointing this way, it's pointing toward the person I like. Subconsciously, we do this when we're in a group and we're listening to that person. That means that's the person in the group we think is the most interesting, or we like the most. That's the person we more want to listen to. We like their idea the most, or we just think they have the best personality, or we're attracted to them. Okay? So who's ever the dominant leg that you crossed over and the knee is pointing towards who that is, that's who you're favoring. Okay? In that situation. Okay. Moving right along. Expressing emotion. People who express zero emotion. Zero emotion may actually be in complete control of their emotions. So maybe they have like a total poker face, not expressing emotions. So if you tell someone something and they just go, they may be in complete control of their emotions. If you tell them something and they're just, I think the look on my face looks like disapproval, but I have a hard time. I have a very animated face. Well, Gemini here. So I think it's kind of, it's hard for me not to express emotion because I'm just very lively. But I think if you, sometimes when you don't express emotion, sometimes when someone tells you something and you just look at them, it seems like they're in control of their emotion. If you can hear something and not react, the more in control of your mind you are, and less in control of the way you're reactive, the less reactive you are, the more in control you are. Yeah, I think that's what that means. You have to work on having a strong mind. There's meditating can help you with that. You want to react less emotionally. Okay, you want to take a minute, collect your thoughts. Like, what did I just hear? What's going on here? You hear news, you don't have to yell wow when you hear news or say a cuss word. Okay, that's kind of hard for me because I exclaim things when I hear, news like, wow, really? Like, because, I have a childlike enthusiasm for things. So if you can remain in control and show a lot of control, you're gonna dominate the situation. Okay, people are gonna have more respect for you, basically. So let's move on. Slouching. Okay, slouching is like, there could be something wrong with your spine. Okay, but it's kind of like when you're slouching. Let me fix my hair here. When you're slouching, it's kind of like you want to shrink and curl up and kind of disappear. Okay, now you've seen someone walking down the street and they slouch. You've seen someone standing in line at Starbucks or whatever and they're slouching. You've seen people do whatever and they're slouching. You've seen people on the bus, and this is probably everyone on the bus because I've been on the bus. Everyone looks depressed and they're just like slouching because it's like that on the bus. Okay, and like you just look like you're shrinking away and you're just trying to curl into a little ball because you're your spine is not straight. Now, when you're sitting up straight, this is why your mom always told you to sit up straight. You look a lot more ready to take on the world. You look a lot more confident. You look strong. You look like you can do whatever, right? Okay, I'm gonna sit back down. I was more comfortable. Yeah, I'm more comfortable like that. I'm not slouching, I'm just kind of chilling in my chair. But when you're slouching, first of all, that's really bad for your spine and it's bad for your stomach muscles. Okay, so that's why you should not slouch. Okay, because it's bad for your core. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to probably do some planks. Have you ever done those? That's where you're lying parallel and you're on your forearms and the tips of your toes. You're isolating your core muscles to hold your body up. Okay, I like to do those sometimes. Those straighten your spine. All right, and it gives you really good posture. You don't want to slouch because then you're going to be stooped over when you're an old person, and you're going to have a hard time standing up straight. It's gonna jack up your whole spine. So you don't want to slouch. It makes you look very unconfident. Okay, and the last thing you want to do is look like you don't have any confidence, because what happens? People mess with you. All right. You don't want to give people any opportunity to think you're weak, right? Don't want people taking pot shots at you because they will. You know how people are. Okay, so slouching. Excessive nodding. Okay. Have you ever been in a conversation and the person's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Like, go somewhere and just watch people. Like, do you ever people watch? And you see people talking and like one person's doing all the talking and the other person's like, yeah, I feel you. Yeah. They're nodding. Okay. Even I nod a lot in my videos because I'm like trying to get the point across, and I'm trying to like say it as fast as I'm thinking it without tripping over my words because my brain goes like really fast, right? So I'm trying to like say it and I'm like nodding and I'm like trying to get the words out. Okay. I know I look like a super dork when I do that and I apologize, but I just like nod and like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know. The person is getting bored with a conversation. They're agreeing with you, so you stop saying it because you're probably repeating yourself. They're like, okay, like you already said that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. And because you've paraphrased it a bunch of times, right? Yeah. Oh, I have to agree with you. Yeah. Oh, I mean, you can't argue with that. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. If people are doing that, stop talking. You've made your point and they don't want to hear it anymore. They're too polite they just want to let you vent, so you'll just be quiet. Okay. Most people are more polite than me. I'll just come out and say, okay, that's enough venting. Okay. Here's the nice one. Tilted head. This is when people care about what you're saying. This is listening stance. This is where people, and this is kind of like, this one can either be very annoying or very endearing. So you got to watch this one because you're really either going to irritate somebody with this or they're going to think you're a nice person. So this is the tilted head and you're listening. So you're going to look like you're fantasizing when you do this, or you're going to look like you're a good listener. So watch this one. It's going to either come off creepy or it's going to come off nice. So you have to figure out what kind of person you are, because it could look like this. See how creepy that is? Or you can or you're listening. No, go ahead. No, I'm listening. I'm listening. I just want to make sure you feel heard. And you're not doing that nodding thing like, come on, You're just tilting your head. Because I've had people tilt their head at me and I'm like, are they tilting their head at me? And I didn't like it because to me it looked like they were fantasizing or something. And I was kind of like, are they daydreaming right now? Like, why are they tilting their head? And I didn't like the head tilt, because I've had people fantasize and daydream when I was talking to them, and I'm like, do they have limerence or something? Like, it was making me really uncomfortable, because sometimes that was what was happening. Okay, and like, but some people tilt their head because they're sincerely nice and they're listening to what's going on, and and they need to also rest their head, because they want to make sure they're relaxed and they want to hear what you have to say. So, gauge the situation. If people are closing their eyes and pinching the bridge of their nose, they don't like what they're being asked. Like they're going... When people put their two fingers right here, okay, and they're just kind of like blinking one eye and just being like, that question was too personal, or they don't want to tell you because you're not going to like the answer. So it doesn't matter if they're talking about themselves or someone else. They don't want to be the one to tell you. Just like, did she have to ask that? Because it's stressing them out. When you do this, it helps alleviate tension in this area. They're experiencing tension and discomfort by that question. Okay, so that's what that's about. Okay, I've got more. Yeah, sorry for shaking the table. You see why I didn't want to back that up and show you me crossing the legs? That's why. I just shook the table. Okay. Showing defiance. Okay, this is even more of a strong gesture than this. Do you know what it is? And it's kind of a stronger gesture than this. It's jutting the chin. You're jutting your chin out. Okay, so you're tilting your head back. I know exposing your neck is a very sign of vulnerability. It is in the animal kingdom. Okay, and but you're jutting your chin forward. So you're exposing your jawline. You're jutting your chin. It's almost like punch me. But you're showing defiance. Like, oh yeah? Says who? You're jutting your chin forward. So if you do this, really? Really? Okay, that's like, try me. So you're jutting. That's really like, it's kind of, what I notice when I do this, it's like pulling all the muscles of my face back. It's showing off my jawline. This lighting's really bad, so you can't really tell. I'm also very white, but you can see my jawline when I do that. So you're making your jaw look strong when you do that. If you jut your chin forward, ball up your fists, or that is a sign of, that's a no. The N or the O, no. Okay, you guys know what manspreading is, right? You see a guy, and he opens his legs up. A lot of people don't like this. They think it's overtly sexual. This is just a guy taking up a bunch of space to show comfortability. And he's like, I'm taking up a bunch of space. He's opening his legs up. Okay, I do a version of that, but I like to wear like stuff like this, with pretty sleeves. And then I like to drape my arms over the chairs with my pretty outfit. And I like to take up as much space as I possibly can. And then I like to pose. So I like to do it, but that's my version of manspreading. And I like to show off my outfit. But I like to do it kind of where I look like a butterfly. Okay, so that is, you're taking up a lot of space. Okay, so you want to be the biggest in the room. All right, and you want to be the biggest and the baddest. And to me, I'm usually trying to be colorful. And here I am. Okay, so, women can do this too. It's just not called manspreading. Okay, we're just showing off how beautiful we look or how cool our outfit is. If I have enough room around me and I'm not crowding other people out, I'll do that to show off my beautiful outfit that I'm wearing. But when guys do it, they just open their legs up and plant their 2 feet, and sometimes they do it on the subway when no one's on there. And they're just like, I'm just chill, I'm just manspreading. That's them, okay? That's them feeling secure. When I do it, that's me showing off. Okay. Lowering of the eyes. Okay, I discussed this before, so I wish I would have not mentioned it. But you're lowering your eyes. You're showing you're not a threat. Okay, so I mistook that lady for challenging me. I look down to show not trying to do anything, Sometimes people stare. You look down just to show you're not challenging them. Just to show, because sometimes when you stare at people too much, they think that it's some kind of challenge. Like you're mean mugging somebody. Because if you stare at someone too much, they think you want to fight them. I mean, I should know. I lived in a bad neighborhood for a really long time. So if you're staring at someone, they think you want to take it outside. So sometimes I look at people, and if I want to admire them or there's something unusual, I take little looks at them when they're not looking. Just little glances, and I take it in really fast. But I don't stare at people, because that's something really dangerous. So I don't, because it's considered rude, and it's also considered very dangerous. You don't stare, okay? Looking up to the right. You're recalling memories. Okay, this is my right. I think it's your left. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out on screen, but this is my right. So I'm looking up to the right. I'm remembering something. So if somebody is thinking and they're looking up to the right, or someone's trying to get you to remember something, or you're trying to get someone to remember something, they're going to look up to the right and they're going to try to remember it. But if they're not looking at you when they're trying to remember it, and they're trying to look up to the right, they're not being rude by breaking eye contact with you. They're looking up to the right because that's just part of the thought process. Okay? Okay. Here's something you can do. The person may or may not know it subconsciously. You can be sitting with your knees together. Remember I was talking about that crossing your leg thing and listening to somebody? Point your knees away from someone you don't like. that will give them the idea that you don't like them. Or that'll let everyone know in the group that you don't like the person. I had this ex-boyfriend who was picking up on the fact that I didn't like him because my legs were always pointed away from him. And he started getting mad. Your feet are always pointing away from me and your knees are always pointing away from, because he was this body language expert. But he was right. He was absolutely right. And I said, stop trying to control what I'm doing physically. I go, I'm just sitting comfortably. But he was right, though. He was right. He was getting on my nerves. And my knees and feet were always pointing away from him. I said I was actually listening to so-and-so talk, and it was another woman in the group. I was just listening to her words or whatever. He goes, your knees and your feet are never pointing towards me. Never. Because I was planning to leave him. I didn't want to have anything to do with him, and he was right. I was done with him, like I was done with his crap. I was done with his nonsense. I was done with him. He was controlling. He was so controlling, he was watching my body language. Now, I'm teaching you how to watch body language, but he was watching every little thing I did, from my body language to everything, to my knees and feet were not pointing towards him. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. This is one way to be able to tell if someone's a smoker. All right, you can usually tell by looking at their skin, and you can smell smoke on them. But if they subconsciously touch their mouths a lot and their chins, okay, because they're doing this a lot. Because the thing about smoking is a lot of the addiction of smoking is you're putting, part of the addiction is you like putting your hand to your mouth. That's part of the addiction, is the satisfaction of your hand touching your mouth. So a lot of people like to drink alcohol with one hand. They like to be ambidextrous, okay? So they're drinking their alcohol with one hand. And people usually like beer and cigarettes at the same time. Do you know why? Because both of those things taste nasty, but both of those nasty tastes actually cancel each other out. This comes from people who smoke cigarettes and drink beer at the same time. They said both of these things taste extremely nasty, but both of those tastes actually camouflage each other to where you can't taste either one. I didn't know that. Okay, so you're smoking with this hand. You're drinking with this hand. So what happens when you're using both hands? You're engaging both sides of your brain. So what happens when you don't have a cigarette? You still miss engaging that side of your brain. That's the opposite side. You still miss touching your mouth, touching your chin. You still miss doing this this motion. It's a very soothing motion. So when people quit smoking, they want to eat, because they're putting food in their mouth. Plus, things actually taste good because you quit smoking, and your mouth isn't like an ashtray anymore. Okay. Dilated pupils. You guys know what that means, right? And you're like, drugs. Well, yeah. Dilated pupils, though, attraction. So, you know when someone is paying you a compliment, if they really mean it or not. Their pupils dilate. All right, because we all know that people pay you compliments and they don't mean it sometimes. Right? Because they want something from you, or they think you don't get a lot of compliments, and so they want to be the one to pay you a compliment, or they just say it to everybody, or whatever. Okay. Or they don't want you to know that they're attracted to you. So they talk a little bit of stuff to you, but their pupils are dilating like they're high, right? Okay, they're attracted to you. So usually I can tell if someone's paying me a sincere compliment or not. Why? Because their pupils are dilating. I can tell if somebody likes me, their pupils are dilating. I could just tell by the way they're looking at me. But their pupils are usually dilating. Or, I can tell when someone's staring at me why their pupils are dilating. I'm like, okay, well, they like what I look like. So don't worry about them staring. They're admiring me. And that's nice. That's really nice. It's a compliment. So don't, that just made my day, honestly. Clasping the hands. See people wringing their hands and clasping their hands. You guys probably know what that is because you've probably done it before. Boredom, anxiety, and anger. This is not a happy type deal. Boredom, anxiety, and anger. Okay. Eyebrow raise. You guys know what that means. Surprise. Like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Wow, really? Or when you tell someone something, you could tell they already know. They go, oh, really? That's interesting. Or it's a lot different than, wow, really? If you want to pretend you didn't know something, don't go, oh, wow, really? Go, wow, really? Put your face into it. Put your eyebrows into it. If you want to pretend this is the first time you've heard that information, like, because you're keeping a secret for somebody, you got to put your eyebrows into it, okay? You can't just be like keeping your face all sedated and be like, oh, wow, really? They know you already knew. You have to do your eyebrows like, wow, really? Okay? Because I keep secrets for people all the time. People tell me everything. So when somebody else comes to me with the information that I already knew for 6 months, I put my eyebrows in. Wow, really? Okay, so keep that in mind, all right? Grooming your hair. You like somebody. This is a good way to tell if someone's attracted to someone. Someone you like comes into the room, and this is really subconscious, but you've seen in the cartoons, like, kind of like those 50s cartoons where someone walks up and the lady starts going like this. All right, or you see someone cute, so you just start doing like this. Like, I look cute, like I look all right, right? But you don't come out and say it, because you don't want people to know that you're feeling self-conscious about your appearance. You're just kind of like, my hair's not sticking up right. So you're just kind of trying to okay. Guys do too. You kind of fix your hair a little bit. This is something if you're sitting with your significant other and somebody of their preferred sex walks into the room and they start fixing their hair a little bit. Be like, oh, really? Mm-hmm. So, or watch it that you don't do it when someone walks in the room. But if you walk into the room and somebody does it, they probably like you. So that's a hack. Let's see. How about, besides fixing the hair, you watch somebody's eyebrows when they walk into the room. Whenever you walk into the room, see whose eyebrows go up. They probably like you. Let's see, it's like reading somebody's mind. All right, remember when I was talking about the two facial hemispheres? Liars control the bottom of their face. Okay, here's the two halves of the face. Hemisphere is this, I'm sorry. These are the two halves of the face. Okay, when playing poker, all right? We're talking about a poker face. Liars control mostly the bottom of their face. That's why when they give you the phony smile, they're like, okay? But notice the eyes stay the same. They're like, all right. Your eyes are the windows of the soul. Your eyes are basically going to give more clues to what's going on than your mouth. Okay? So it freaks me out when someone has a mask on because I like to see somebody's whole face. I like to see the whole expression. But the eyes will give you more clues to the emotion than the mouth will. Because liars control their mouth. They do fake smiles, fake frowns, fake whatever they're doing with their mouth, but they can't control their eyes that much. Your eyes give you away. Like, because your eyebrows are doing things, your pupils are doing things, you don't like something, you go like that. Eyes are extremely expressive. They are the window to the soul. So when you watch people lie, they're blinking, they're looking up to the right because they're trying to recall something. They're doing all kinds of things with their eyes. So the more you learn body language, don't concentrate on fake smiles or things they're doing with their mouth, because they're going to be doing all these things with their mouth to try to detract. Just don't even look at it. Just look at their eyes, because they're going to be doing things with their mouth to distract you. You're going to want to look at everything their pupils are doing, their eyebrows are doing, but they're going to be making all kinds of bozo faces, trying to throw you off course. Okay, so that's like a liar detector. Okay, but liars are always like, you see the face I just made? It was kind of like sarcastic. Liars make this sarcastic face all the time. Okay, but they could I just made that face because liars make that face, and I was telling the truth. So you never know what they're going to do. Engaging both sides of the brain, your left arm, this is my left arm, crosses over to your right brain. Okay. Your left arm crosses over, your left arm crosses over to your right brain, the hemisphere. Okay. And so your right arm crosses over to your left brain hemisphere. All right. This forces both sides of your brain to work together to communicate more effectively. Okay, so you've seen people talk with their hands. I do it a lot. Okay, so I talk with my hands a lot. Okay, that's a European thing. We talk with our hands a lot. Okay, I try to tone it down, but I do it a lot. Okay, but when you do that, it helps stimulate your mind. When you're talking with both hands, when I do this, it's stimulating this hemisphere. When I do this, stimulating this hemisphere. All right. So one side of your brain, which is the left side, the right side. The right side is the creative side. So that's your left hand controlling the creative side. Okay, your right hand, which is the left side of your brain, is controlling the logic side. So I'm doing this, and the corpus callosum, which is the part that divides the middle, is working together to create more effective communication. All right, so that is our lesson for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was so much fun, and I hope you guys liked it. So if you have any more body language tips, please put it in the comments for me and for everyone else. And I love you all. Thank you so much for showing up today and watching, and I will see you in the next content. Bye-bye.